Welcome to Series 5 of Restorative Practices Made Simple. Today's topic is Quick and Easy Strategies for De-escalation, Part 2, iMessages. Our panel today is Jake, Shirley, and Sofia Vaughan. So they're going to introduce themselves, and then we're going to talk a little bit about iMessaging. Jake, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Jake Shirley. I am principal of Northlake Elementary in Garland ISD, an urban school district just outside of Dallas, and I've been practicing restorative discipline practices since 2014.
And you know what? Jake was one of the first people in my training to get a state certificate for his school because he did all the data to support his work. So this is Jake's second time around with me. So thank you so much, Jake, for joining us. And Sofia, will you introduce yourself?
Of course. My name is Sofia Vaughan, and I teach third grade bilingual mathematics and science in Northlake Elementary, Garland ISD.
Very good. And so I'm sure that Mr. Shirley recruited you because you're doing something special at his school with iMessages, I'll bet. All right, and we're going to talk about that. So just what is an iMessage? An iMessage allows students to take ownership of their behavior in the form of iMessages. I feel, and iMessages make you look at yourself and say, I feel this when you do this. And it teaches them how to do those replacement conversations and replacement behaviors. We're going to get a little bit into that with each of our panelists today. So, Jake, you've been doing restorative for a while. You now have a second school. You're doing iMessages. How did you begin the iMessage at your campus, this new campus that you're beginning to be principal of right now? So what was your jump off point? How did you get started?
Sure. We saw that there was a need for relationships on our campus, and I know restorative practices are a great way to build relationships. But I also know we can't do everything at once. We have to go smooth and slow so that we can go fast eventually. And so I noticed a couple of teachers that were doing great things already in building relationships, and I kind of tapped them on the shoulder to train them up on how to use iMessaging so that eventually they could turn around and support their teams as their teams begin supporting iMessaging on our campus.
Well, that's good. So you got your little kind of core group or a pilot group to make sure that their things are going to roll out really smoothly. That was a great idea, Jake. And so, Sofia, you must have been one of those teachers.
Yes, I come from a district that previously had already implemented community circles and treatment agreements. And so I had basic knowledge on how to use this as a structure for a daily routine. However, this was new to me. And when I first started implemented, it felt a little unsettling, but the more we practiced, it felt more organic, and we started having these conversations that now just flow in my classroom.
Wow, that is awesome. So, Jake, do you have any stories as a principal about the discipline since you've instituted iMessages with your core group of teachers? Can you share a little bit about the discipline in terms of when they come to the office?
It's very easy for me to tell when students come to my office if they come from an iMessaging classroom versus when they come from a classroom that is not trained in iMessaging yet. The students that come from teachers that are using this routinely and regularly and with fidelity in the classroom come to me armed with the vocabulary to talk about how they're feeling. They come to me prepared to talk about how their actions are affecting others. They come to me with ideas on how they can repair those damages that have occurred already. And so it's very clear to see the students that come in with that background knowledge, that vocabulary to address those relationships in their classroom.
Oh, that's pretty good when they can speak for themselves, giving themselves voice and agency to do so. So, Sofia, you have been working with the students in your class. Can you tell me a little bit about your students and who they are, a little bit about their background, who are they, and how did they adjust to iMessages?
Of course. So the population that I serve is altogether 34 students. They're bilingual students, EB. And within this community, we also have newcomers who are students who just have arrived to the country. And so the students that I'm currently serving have a need for language development. And so not only that, but the emotional need to come to a new country with a new language, a new system. So it's very unsettling for them at first. So iMessaging has been a very powerful tool for them to find their place in our community, for them to feel like they belong in my classroom and they're part of our family as well as anybody else. And so implementing iMessaging has helped us just grow together, come closer together, and talk about what we need from each other and how we're feeling. So it's been an incredible, powerful tool.
Very good. Since they're bilingual, this is not their first language, English. So my hat is off to you for working with them to bring about iMessaging, because if this is not their first language, they have to translate from English back to Spanish and back again. That's a lot of hoop jumping for a child at 8 years old. So my hat is off to you and to those students for doing a good job of it. So we have students that speak English and don't do it that fast. So I'm real proud of you for that. So thank you so much for sharing that. So Mr. Shirley, can you kind of talk to me about, in terms of numbers, raw numbers and data, if you had to kind of talk about from the time you got there to now, has there been an improvement in discipline? Has it been a reduction in anything? So talk about that piece. What does the data say about the implementation process, and does it work?
So our campus tracks discipline incidents in two different ways: office referrals versus classroom incidents. And luckily, we have not been a campus traditionally that has a high number of office referrals. However, we have seen a reduction in classroom incidents. I would say 25 to 30% reduction in a year in the classrooms that are practicing restorative discipline, iMessaging. And I think that speaks a lot to the type of community that is being created through these tools in the classroom. They're not having incidents in the place where they're spending 7.5 hours a day. That is saying that their relationships are healing. They're learning how to interact with one another in a positive way.
That's really fabulous, because what happens is a lot of times we want a quick fix, but this is not only a quick fix and a quick strategy, it's a long-term strategy. Once you really understand how to use this tool, it becomes your best friend, because it allows students to give voice to their needs. And that's what's missing. They get upset, frustrated, because they don't know what to say or how to say it. So then they explode. But if you give them some tools or some voice as to, you could say, I feel, what's some of the things you're feeling right now, and walk them through that, so that when they do have these issues, problems, and concerns, there's a way to voice it without getting angry or screaming or yelling, or things that happen when they become frustrated. So Ms. Vaughan, what do you think? Do you think that you've seen an improvement in the discipline in your class? Do you think it's been a reduction since you started? Tell me a little bit about the beginning to now.
Most definitely. When they come to me by third grade, they've been together for at least 2 years. And so some of them come with a preconceived notion of who's going to behave and who's going to misbehave. And iMessaging is all about second chances. When we come together and we are able to listen to each other and we take the blame away, we see that they are willing to listen. They're willing to express what they need from each other, and they give each other a second chance, because understanding the other party makes us come together and show empathy. And so iMessaging beyond my classroom, I believe, is going to give them tools that they're going to continue to utilize as they grow older, and they're going to be able to come to conflict resolution with something that is replacing the misbehavior with a positive one.
Yeah.
So I've just seen a lot of improvement from those students who were, the frequent flyers in my classroom. And I've seen how much they are understanding each other now, and they have come closer just to fix the situation and listen to each other equally. So it's been working in my classroom.
Beautiful. So Mr. Shirley happens to be one of our star pupils, because at TEA on our website, we have Mr. Shirley's iMessages that he did. We did a clip when we were doing COVID. We had a need. Parents kept calling, and teachers saying, well, what do we do about the kids at home? So we came together, myself and Yanni and Mr. Shirley, and we all kind of thought about something, and each of them produced a short video, and that video is just viral. Everybody looks at it, even people that are not in Texas. So I really appreciate that, Jake, for doing that, because that has become a handy tool to show, here's what you're really looking to do. This is how you start this process up. And that's really powerful. So as we close the show, what's a takeaway? What can you tell someone who's listening to this or watching this YouTube? What's a key takeaway of this series with iMessages? I feel. What do you want to say about that? If you can tell them one thing, don't forget this. This is the most important thing to remember. Mr. Shirley, what do you say?
Say, remember that discipline is not about consequences. Discipline is about teaching, and discipline is about healing. And with one short phrase, you're able to address the SEL needs of your students, and you're also able to educate them on a better way to interact with those around them.
So, Sophia, Ms. Vaughan, what do you want to say?
I want to say that from the teacher perspective, I know we have a lot on our plate. And I know that sometimes we choose to go for things that are quick and easy, but let me tell you, it is worth the implementation and the work. In the long run, you're going to see that your community will be built stronger and your students are going to have social skills that they didn't before. And that's all thanks to iMessaging. So I highly recommend that you implement it in your classroom.
And it takes time. Over time, this quick and easy method we're talking about is an overtime fix. But once you have it, because it's just 2 or 3 steps, but when you practice those 2 or 3 steps repeatedly, it becomes a mainstay. It's like, yep, we know how to do this. We've got it. And for you to do it with bilingual students, that means it's doable. It's not like, oh, this is a pie in the sky. Nope, we could do this, because if they're doing it, and this is not their main language, surely we should be able to do the same thing, hopefully, right? I want to thank you all for being here today. It's been a pleasure talking to both of you. I want to encourage you to keep up the good work. And Jake, you know, I just think the world of you. You do so many good things for our children. I'm just so proud of you. I really am. So thank you so much for being here, Jake. I really am proud of the work you're doing. Sophia, thank you for joining us today. So until then, everyone, just keep listening to Restorative Practices Made Simple. Thank you.